Hello, everyone, and good evening. A warm welcome to all of you. Welcome to Inner Space Wembley. I know it's quite warm outside, so extra warm welcome. So today is a very special day. Does anyone know why? Any chance? Yeah. Oh my God, you all paid attention to the lead. Yes, that's right. So today is the International Youth Day, with and you're invited to a nice conversation which invites us to slow down, reflect, and connect with what truly matters. The theme we are exploring is we pause for reals. Can we pause for real? A nice title, isn't it? Quite catchy. So in a world where we are constantly scrolling, swiping, and moving on, it's easy to get caught in the rush. But sometimes the most powerful step forward begins with a pause. A moment to breathe, a moment to notice, but at the same time, a moment to align ourselves with our deeper purpose. So this evening, we'll be hearing more about the challenges that we are currently facing, especially the youth, and how we can navigate them, and how intentional pauses can actually bring so much strength, so much clarity, as well as direction in our lives. So those who are joining us in person and online as well, I'm quite aware we have a lot joining online, so welcome everyone. And I think it's about time we get started. But before we start, I thought of throwing a question out to our special audience. And those of you online can drop a message on the chat. The first question is, what challenges do you reckon the youth or the younger ones are facing right now? And it's going to be, I'm digging into a whole different perspective for you guys, but what do you think? What are the challenges that the youth are facing?
Need to repeat that.
What challenges?
Answer.
Okay, so you got the mic. Go on.
I think nowadays the youth are using mobile phones, internet, and too much social media, and they spend too much time on their phones, laptops, and they're missing out.
They're missing out. So that's a challenge that they're facing, which is being just sucked in so much into social media that they kind of forget reality. Right? Anything else you wanted to add?
Very short attention span.
It's okay.
Yes.
Very short attention span.
Yes, that's right. So a very short attention span. And I really wonder why, especially when you're really pulled into all these media, you're pulled into a lot of, there's so much advancements in technology, but our general wisdom is decreasing. I'm sure many of you have noticed that. And also it has a disruption in terms of relationship, so between the parents and the children, and especially the youth amongst each other. Are they really able to communicate really well? Something I've noticed is that there is a gap in communication, or just the way they interact with each other, because everything's very screen oriented. And it was quite funny. Quite recently, I went to Kew Gardens. How many of you have been to Kew Gardens? Right, I'm sure most of you have. If you haven't, make sure you do go. And I went quite recently. And what was funny was they have a nice screen of the oak tree. I don't know if many of you have seen it. An oak tree, and in the screen it kind of shows you all the roots, and it's very colorful, very attractive. And then the tree is next to the screen. And what's funny is everyone just sat in front of the screen and just mesmerized by all the colors and all the roots and all the sort of digital display that it's showing. But then you see just close by the big oak tree, like the real tree is just there, and it's just empty. And it just made me think, sometimes we make time for nature, but then we're still in front of a screen. Quite ionic. But I think we should get started. And so our other panelist is running quite late, so he will join us soon. But I'm sure many of you know Sister Nidhi very well. So I would like to ask you a question. The first question is, we pause for reals. Can we pause for real? What does pausing for real mean to you personally?
It's a very good question, Biru, and to everybody online also. I was just reflecting on the story that Birijit shared about real and real together. You know, the tree on the screen and the tree in real. And what's it that we're attracted to pause to see the screen, but we're not attracted to pause to see the real, which is just next to the screen? And there's something that we add to it, which is called attraction. And pausing for real, for me, is, am I attracted enough to see the wonder of what that very moment brings? Am I ready to experience the now and the magic of the now? And when we start doing that, it is really magical, because pausing for real means I am allowing myself to step back, to reconnect, to ground, to help me understand that I am a master. Because how many of you have mobile phones and how many of you are on social media? I think all of us. And we do have a habit of boom scrolling. You know, you go on Instagram, you go on YouTube, you look at a shot, you scroll, and then you scroll. And the next moment when you become aware, it might be hours that you were with your phone. So now if I am on my phone for hours doing what? Just scrolling and enjoying and entertaining myself, that's what I think. But I have given 2 hours of myself, enslaved to creation of something somebody else has done, which is psychologically hooking me to it. I've lost the opportunity. So for me, pausing for real is to grab that opportunity of my own creation of life. I would like to ask a question. 29,000. Just a number, 29,000. What do you think? Is this a big number or a small number? Big number? Relative? But for you, what does that mean for you? Guru, what do you think?
I think that is a big number.
Big number?
Yeah.
Okay.
29,000.
What do you guys think? Yeah, if you're a millionaire, 29,000 pounds is a big number? No. But in general, if I just had to give you that number, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Even if any scenario you take in your mind. Right? And if I had to tell you that that is the number of the days that you live in, right from birth till the end that we choose to leave this body. And now, in this 29,000 days, if I have the habit of scrolling reels for 2 hours, actually I'm losing 2,000 days altogether. Just that 2 hours every day. Now imagine what all I could have done in those 2,000 days of my life. So much productivity could happen, so much learning could happen, so much growth could happen. But what I have done is just scrolled. And the question is, even if you keep scrolling, how much do you remember by the next day? Or even at the end of that 2 hours? Hi, Prince, welcome. Please join us. Yeah. So how much do we remember? Actually, nothing, right? So eyes are affected, my brain is affected, my health's affected, and I'm losing on so much. So pausing for real is awareness. The moment I'm aware of what I'm doing in this very moment. Does that make sense?
Definitely does. And I think we have Prince that have walked in at the right time. So just for a quick introduction, so Prince is a recent graduate from the University of Surrey with a degree in mathematics. He is now pursuing a career in data-related roles, and remarkably, he has been meditating since the age of 7. Now, just talking about reels, I know you just walked in, we put you on the spot,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you're in the moment.
His real name is Prince.
Mm.
Lucky him, right? Yeah, so just talking about reels and yourself being 21, right?
Yeah.
What's your connection with social media? And what's your relationship with it? And how are you sort of up to date with the modern society or the way that everything's going right now?
Yeah. So I use a lot of social media. So because I just recently graduated from university, I have to have a lot of social media apps when I'm networking with people because they won't instantly offer their phone number. So they're like, okay, actually, I have this social media app. So I have to be like, okay, yeah, I have it too. We can connect through that. And that's sort of my relationship with social media. I also use it for entertainment sometimes as well. But I maintain like a balanced relationship with it, as in, I don't get attached to it too much, like spending hours just scrolling through YouTube or whatever, right? If I just want to take a break, I do use it. But discussing on the topic, I think you guys discussed it already, like taking a real break, you know? There's the Instagram reels, which you can scroll through, but the real break is being present in the moment, having your awareness in that moment. The difference between taking a break with Instagram reels and taking a real break is one is energizing and the other one depletes your energy. So to give you an example, let's say you're at work or in a certain situation and you just want to take a break from it, you know, you might go into whatever social media app you want and just distract yourself. Okay? After you distract yourself and you look back into the situation you're in, what emotion do you feel? For me, it would be like, oh no, now I have to deal with this, right? That's what I feel like after I just like took a break from like on social media or whatever on my phone. But what if I took a real pause? A real pause is not running away from the situation, maintaining your awareness of what situation you're in, but also not letting that situation get to you, you know? So if the situation is causing you some sort of negative emotion, you know, not letting that emotion get to you. For example, if you were, say, getting irritated by that situation, but why are you irritated? You know, before you weren't, but now you are. It might be because of a certain problem that's arisen, and that problem may have involved you. But regardless of that problem, it's not like it's the end of the world, you know? So taking this real break, having this awareness that the situation won't change if I get angry or if I get irritated. It's still going to be the same. The difference should be within me. If I remain calm, if I remain stable, then that's what gives me energy. If I look at social media, that's draining away my energy. I'm just distracting myself, avoiding the situation. If I take a real break, that's where I gain the energy. I gain the ability to be like, okay, let's go for it. Let's face the situation and see what happens.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. He's come in with such great energy. And it's quite nice that you kind of admitted and said, I do use social media, but the intentions are different. You know, sometimes social media can be portrayed to be a bad thing, but after university, you can use social media for networking, getting to know many things, right? Learning a lot of things. But then you also touched on how doom scrolling now, that's a whole different topic. And that's what you touched on. Something that is draining, but a break or a pause that is not draining, that is more of connecting with the self. That was quite nice. Another question, just as we are on it, that just comes to mind was, I know that there are a lot of parents that are kind of, I mean, they're seeing the children just constantly on the phone. If they're just using it for networking and stuff, that's fine. But it's more of the other side where they're just doom scrolling. Just hours go by. And obviously it does get frustrating for the parents. And then it becomes a loophole for the child, especially if they're in their summer holidays right now. They're so glued to the screen. Even I think last week, I was with my relative, and I was trying to just entertain the younger one. He wouldn't stop crying until I give him the mother's phone. And I tried resisting slightly. I was like, I'm not going to give you the phone. He started jumping up and down. He was only like 3, I think. He was throwing a whole tantrum. So what can parents do? I think it's 2 questions. First thing is, if the children are teenagers and they're in that loop of just constantly on their phone the whole day, what can the parents do to kind of break that or help the children in a nice way?
So to answer both your question, I'll start with the first one first, and then I'll address the one that you asked later. I'm going to give you an example. We all love food, right? We all like to have different kinds of cuisine, taste different things. But when we look into our diet, we're very particular. Like, especially in this country, we have got so many people so strict with their diet. I'm gluten-free, I'm dairy-free, I'm chili-free, I'm nightshade-free, I'm this, I'm that. Very, very particular, because they know what they're feeding in, what they're consuming. In the same way, doesn't matter, I'm a parent or I'm a sibling or I'm a teacher or I am a educationalist or I am a CEO or working profession, whoever I am, or maybe just a homemaker. What am I consuming every day through my 5 senses? So when I am on the phone, let's say in this example as a parent, I expect my child not to use the phone, but do I use the phone at the first place? Do I have that discipline myself to say no to the phone? Because many times we have seen when, as a working parent, I have to deal and juggle with a lot of things, and also look after a child, it becomes trickier, and the easiest way is give them a tablet, hook them on so that I can get ready and do whatever stuff I need to do. So what I'm doing is I am giving that habit from the day one. So, okay, now the habit is already there. And now you're asking them to break that habit. So it's like contradicting according to my own convenience. But if I want them to break that habit, I have to look deeper into my relationships. Because if there is no phone, am I interesting enough in my relationship with my child that my child is curious to know what I need to say? Does that make sense? Right? So, number one, in spirituality, the moment the mom conceives, the message, there's a bond that's created between the mother and the child, right, after 5 months of pregnancy. Now, everything that the mom does, it impacts the child. The child learns, it grows. There's a signal that goes through the mother's mind to the child's mind. And during the pregnancy, if I am going to be on my phone all the time, that's what the child's also going to learn once it's out, right? So it's not just being a teenager, but it's also about coming back to the same point, being aware. I do have social media. What is my purpose of using social media? Like you mentioned very beautifully that you want to network. Your goal is very clear. And sometimes you do scroll. But if there is an imbalance again, the question is, what am I consuming? Right? So even when I'm scrolling, if I'm just randomly scrolling, whatever is coming up, I'm watching. Maybe I'm watching some complex human emotions. That's what the reels are all about. Or some news or something. Everything is so much packed with complexity and emotions and psychological traits behind it, right? So that we do get hooked, right? Now I'm consuming all that complexities. I'm consuming that emotions, which is difficult for me to comprehend. How many times you must have seen that the moment you're feeling low, you go onto your phone because it's easiest way to distract your mind and you watch something comedy. Or you watch something which allows you to fill the gap that you are experiencing in the moment. Say, for example, I'm heartbroken for some or the other reason. Can you tell me what kind of reels I would be watching? Very obvious, right? If I have to go somewhere and I need some motivation to fulfill some task, what kind of reels I would be watching? Certain kind of things. So it's very obvious. See, we know the patterns. So really, when I'm going on the reels or I'm seeing myself hooked at social media on a particular pattern, it is a reflection, a mirror of what's lacking inside me. And when I'm able to take that pause, the real pause, and identify that, okay, I'm lacking happiness. I'm not experiencing happiness in real life. And that's why I love watching these kind of things. Or this is an emotional pattern that I've created within me, or this is what I'm gaining. Then that awareness itself will become the first step for me to detach from that addiction. So when you ask as a teenager, it's not just about taking the phone, it's an addiction. And you have to deal with it as any other addictions. It's the same process. Like you ask somebody who is a chain smoker to stop smoking in one day or just take the cigarette away, that person is going to become restless. In the same way, if I ask you, just give me your phones for 3 hours, that restlessness will start, right? So it's kind of addiction. And to de-addict myself, I have to know where I stand. And that's what awareness is. That's what pauses is. That's where I'll be able to reconnect with myself.
That was wonderful. I like how you talked about how it being a mirror. So whatever that we see, it's really a mirror of what we're lacking inside, and how it's not just about taking gadgets and everything away and depriving them from that, but is there another substitute, or is there something else that I can do? Can I have that meaningful conversation? Can I make that our relationship stronger? What else can I do? And just coming back to Prince, I'm also aware that Prince is a great chess player. So my question is, are there any other sort of alternatives to social media? One example is chess, but what's your experience? What kind of brings you out of that scrolling, doom scrolling mode, or like what keeps you your mental health going?
So for me, when I've been doom scrolling or scrolling in general, I do. It's more about what you said, awareness. So when you realize that, oh, I've doom scrolled, like, or sometimes people actually realize it straight after they doom scroll. They're like, oh man, I just wasted like an hour or 2 hours doom scrolling, and now I have all these tasks which I needed to do, which I just wanted to take a break from for a short time, but now it's been an hour. Now I really need to do it. So it was that point for me where I kind of realized that, okay, I'm wasting a lot of time just scrolling through this. And chess is an alternative, but I wouldn't say it's like the best thing. Yeah, you're instead of playing chess or whatever, what I'm doing there is actually I'm just redirecting my addiction, right? I'm not actually taking it away. To actually take it away, I need to spend time away from my phone. So yes, chess can be helpful in the fact that it will reduce the time you're doom scrolling. So for me, chess is useful or better than doom scrolling because I feel like I'm achieving something, like I'm gaining something from it, or some sort of like skill or intelligence from that. So instead of doing something which you regret later, fill it with something which you'll want to do, which you'll feel good after doing. So a good example is going to the gym, right? Every time you go to the gym, it might be hard while you're doing the exercise, right? But straight after, how good do you feel? You feel so good, right? You're like, oh my God, I just did this exercise and now I feel so good. I'm actively improving on myself. That's so much better than just being like, oh, I just wasted an hour just looking at random things which I won't remember. So I would say chess is an alternative, but I wouldn't 100% recommend it unless you find it beneficial, of course. Fill your addiction. If you can't get rid of it straight away, fill it with other things which you will love to do, other things which you will find useful, other things which will benefit you in the future. Gym being one example. There's many examples. You could be like, oh, I'm going to start reading this new book, which I like, or, I'm going to start learning about this thing which I've always wanted to learn, but I keep pushing it off. That way, your addiction from scrolling slowly changes into just positive and helpful other habits. And because you enjoy that thing, you might think, oh, the useful thing, which I'm talking about, because you enjoy it, you might think, okay, well, now I'm addicted to this. And you might think, okay, but addiction is a bad thing. But no, if it's useful, is it really bad? And if you love something, right, then it's not bad. And if you were to not do it for a day, you won't be affected by it. For example, let's say your parents or a close friend of yours you spent the entire day together. So now your friend has to leave and go home. You're not going to be sad that, oh no, my friend's gone now. It's over. No, you know that they're still with you and you have your own thing and they have their own thing. And so that way, it's the same with doing things that you love. You know that, okay, it's something that I love. It's not going to go away. And even if it does go away, it's something that I've learned from. It's something that I've gained from. And I won't be upset that it's gone. I'll be glad I did it in the first place. You might miss it, but there's always something else.
Wonderful. I really liked how you kind of added more examples and like alternatives that we can do. And it could be something that maybe you don't know that you loved. Like, for example, chess, because you were open-minded to try it out, then you formed a relationship with it. You started to love playing chess. That's the same with gym. That's the same with nature as well. That's also something that a lot of young people have talked about, or it's come into their awareness that spending more time hiking, more time going to the nature has a ripple effect, has an effect in your mind. But just wanted to ask an example. So if you have, do you have any practical, like personal examples where you had to pause, you gave yourself that time to pause and it had an effect in your activity, or it could be a decision that you made, or it could be an experience that you had giving yourself that pause. Is there an example that you can give?
Yeah. So I mentioned before, I recently graduated from university. And so you might not think of this as a pause, but it really is. And that's when I'm doing or taking an exam. It's recommended by every single teacher that once you finish an exam, you should spend time not thinking about the exam. They say daydream or whatever, do it for 5 or 10 minutes, and then check over your work. Some teachers might just say, oh, go check over your work after you're done. But if you go check over your work after you're done, you're going to see the same things which you already wrote down. The answers which you've put down, you've been confident with them. So if you just check over as soon as you finish writing it, you're not going to see a difference. But if you spend 5 or 10 minutes thinking about something else and then looking over, what you realize is that you get a new perspective. You wrote that same answer, but because you have spent time away from the situation, and now you're looking at the situation again, you're actually able to spot some mistakes which you make. And this is a practical example which I have felt. I'd taken a maths exam, and I'd finish either with time to spare or like just barely enough time to spare. And I'd take a pause, a real pause, away from the exam, away from the pressure of like, I need to finish this exam, I need to get good results, I need to get all the answers to be correct. And just take that time. Think about, what I think about is like, oh, my future after exam. Yay, I'll be free. I can do whatever I want or whatever. I spend that time being happy in that place for a few moments, like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I check over my work. And 9 times out of 10, I've seen a mistake, a really silly mistake which I've made, which I wouldn't have seen before if I'd just gone back and checked like really quickly without taking that pause. So taking a real pause is even as subtle as that.
Thank you. I think that's such a great example. And also to all the youth that are watching, is something that they can also implement in their exams, or just all these techniques and alternatives that we talked about. It's something that can be implemented by them as well. A question to Sister Nidhi is, we all talk about solutions, but I've realized that a group effort is something that takes one forward very quickly. For example, a bird. I'm sure many of you have seen or heard about birds migrating from one country to another. If one bird is flying from a country to another, that bird will get very tired, and a lot of the times you'll see that bird kind of taking a break somewhere, and they just puffed out. Many of you may have had that experience or have seen that. But what I've learned is when a flock, I think is what they call it, a flock of birds fly together and they are always in a formation. So if you look at the sky, you see that all the birds, they are just in this sort of V-shaped formation. It's so that because they're going as a group together, as all the birds kind of flap at the same time, synchronized, they're kind of creating that lift. So if one bird is getting tired in that group, they get that extra lift. They don't have to work as hard compared to flying as an individual. So my question to you is there a group effort that we can all do together which would really help each other kind of bring in that pause reality, like really in our lives? Is there a challenge that we can do?
Of course. But before that, my question to everyone is, do you want to do it? How many of you really want to take a pause, really want to create that awareness, really want to create that positive impact in your lives? I can see all the heads mostly nodding. And the thing is, we already are positive. but we do get distracted. And I'm not saying distracted just with social media, but also with other events in life that happens, right? And it does drain our energy. There is a whole cycle of thoughts that we create, and we think and we overthink. Do you agree with me? Right? And we lose time even with that. And sometimes you're doing nothing. You're just sitting, right? And we think, I want to do, and something called procrastination, guilt, shame, everything creeps in at the same time. So I've got some solution. I've got something very interesting that we've been working over a few weeks now, months actually. And it all started with one of the program that we were involved with the UN. I don't know if you guys know about, but we are celebrating the International Day of Youth. It's a UN International Day, and that's why I'm bringing UN in. Do you know the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University has got a general consultative status with the UN? Right? And we've got a lot of affiliation with the United Nations. And because of the kind of work that this organization does, we've got also Peace Messenger Awards from the UN. Now, why I'm bringing this up, as we know that UN does celebrate not just the International Day of Youth, but many other days, including the Yoga Day, including the Meditation Day, the Day of Eradicating Poverty, some kind of climate actions. And Biru, you have been to a lot of COP conferences as well. So there are conferences, there are commissions that UN holds every year, especially with the climate change, and also something called Status of Women. And the another one is social development. So they're really looking into developing the society, which means eradicating poverty, zero hunger, the life above the earth, the life in the sea, and all these kinds of goals that they have, which are most commonly known as the Sustainable Development Goals. Have you heard about that? The SDGs. So basically, if I had to give it a perspective, and if I have to very simply explain, in 1995, the whole world, all the world leaders came together for a world summit 30 years ago in Copenhagen. They said they had this discussion. They wanted to save the world and make the world a beautiful, wonderful place. And there was a commission on social development, a world summit. And from that world summit, they managed to get the millennial goals and the sustainable development goals as an aim for 2030. And the whole world, all the leaders, all the countries said, okay, great, we'll work on these 13 goals collectively, as you said, a group as a challenge, and we'll see if we can protect our world, become the trustees, and give the next generation a better world. So what has happened? 30 years now has passed. And now when they reflected back, they thought, wow, we've invested the best of minds. We've invested a lot of money. We've got the noblest intentions. Everything is in place. But in reality, for real, only 1/5 of those goals are achieved. Right? So now they're looking for solutions, as you said. So everybody is looking for some kind of solution, whether it's personal or it's global. And that's why we thought of the real pause. That's why we thought if we really want to accelerate the impact that we are creating in our own lives or at the global level, what do you think we all need to do? Any idea? Some simple solution? Right? And at the Brahma Kumaris, we're proposing something very interesting. And what we're saying is, if you want to accelerate, all you need to do, are you ready? You ready? All you need to do is just sit. Easy? Can you sit? Now, what does this sit mean? Let me share with you.
I was going to say, aren't we sitting now?
Yeah. So if you can see on the screen, it's very interesting. We know that we can only be able to excel in our life with the right attitude, with the right awareness, the right consciousness. And now is the time that the whole world does need a shift in consciousness. I need an inner shift. Do you guys need it too, right? So how do we get there? And this is a beautiful journey. It's called Transform Your Inner World and Impact Your Outer World. Are you ready for this? You want to give it a try? What it needs is to understand what SIT is. S stands for soul consciousness. I stands for instrument consciousness. And T stands for trustee consciousness. I is instrument, S is soul. So when we say soul consciousness, is actually the why behind everything I choose to do. Instrument is the how behind everything I'm doing, my intention. And trustee is the what of my responsibility. So in my head, anything that I am doing, even right now, having this discussion or listening to the talk, if my why, how, and what are clear, then my life is sorted. But how do I do this? How do I cultivate this inner capacity, this consciousness, so that that shift becomes easy? So for that, we've got a beautiful journey for all of you, and you can see a little QR code on the screen. And if you have your phones, you can scan that QR code. And those who are watching online, you can go on our website, which is called, very easy to remember, justsit.world. Right? So if you go on this website, justsit.world, or you can scan this QR code, very easy. Just press the button, join now. Now, what's going to happen? All you need to do is, remember on this few minutes earlier, we were talking about consumption. What is that I'm consuming the first thing in the morning, if it's social media or my phone or whatever. So if the first thing in the morning, if I consume the right awareness, the right thoughts, either it could be S, I, or T, but with that right awareness, I am creating that foundation for myself. And then with every awareness, we've got a special meditation for 3 minutes, not longer, because I know all of you are very busy in your days. So if you could practice that specially curated meditation for that awareness that day, at least 3 times throughout your busy schedule, that's taking a real pause. And at the end of the day, I figured there's going to be a very reflective prompt which will be given to you. And if you could just reflect and answer that question for yourself. Total 20 minutes, that too 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes before going to bed, and 10 minutes, 9 minutes actually during the day. If I can invest that much for myself, for my awareness, for my consciousness, for my inner world, I think we are sorted. We just sorted. So it's now your time. You can try this. It's a wonderful thing which we're going to launch soon. But of course, you can register your interest. You can join in now. We'll get your information and then we'll send out the login details where you could do. So what happens is, we've got this in the languages that you might understand also. So when you log in, you might choose your language, and then there's something called set reminders, because we know that, of course, we're going to forget, right? We start something today, 2 days, we do it, 3rd day, you forget because we're very busy. Life takes over, priority changes. So what we do is, you've got to set 5 times. It gives you a little set reminder kind of outlook. And when you do that, it will give you a file that you download and it goes into your calendar straight away. So whatever time you've set, let's say 7 o'clock in the morning when you wake up, you want to read your awareness, then it will give you a reminder. and your meditation time, you might want to split it morning, afternoon, evening. It gives you reminder every time and before you go to bed. So it's a wonderful thing so that you don't miss your routine, you don't miss your discipline. Please do set your reminders once you've logged in. And that's it. And then the game starts. And then your journey of sit consciousness, of your awareness starts. And you can unlock every day a different personality of yourself, a different consciousness, a different awareness. But before you start, you can see that number 0. It's a little survey that we would really request you to fill in. And this survey is very important because that's before and after for you to know where and how much progress you've done in those 30 days. Interesting? Do you think there's something that would be useful for everyone? Yeah. So anytime you can just log into that website, just join in, and we'll get back to you once we get you registered. Yep. So that's a very practical solution that all of us could actually try and do. Any questions?
I just wanted to add how it's nice that we have that 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. Kind of gets us grounded for the day, because a lot of the time, many of you can agree that time just slips away. People just say, oh my God, I don't know how the week went, how the month went, how the year went. We're quite robotic. We're going to work, we come back, and that's it. Watch whatever, and then that's it. We look forward to the next day. But having these breaks is something that kind of really grounds you and kind of brings you back into reality. And the best thing is, it's an actual challenge. It's something that you can do, and you will have reminders for it. Because many times, many of us say, from now on, I'm going to do it. From now on, I'm going to do this. From now on, I'm going to do that. But do you really? Life does take over. So it's always nice to have little reminders like this challenge that would kind of constantly remind you every day. And when you're just busy with life, you can just kind of pause. And just opening the floor up to any questions that you may have. Anyone? Or online as well, if there are any questions. But to be honest, I think a lot of questions might have been answered because the conversation was really fruitful and very deep. We've been talking a lot since the start of the session. What is the word that we've been talking about a lot? Awareness. It starts with, I'm looking for the word P. Pause. I think it's about time we really experience that pause and really practice that in our own time as well. So would Sister Nidhi like to kind of give that experience of pause? Yeah.
So just request everyone to just set yourself and just allow yourself to be in this very moment. Take a few deep breaths and be aware of your own being. I see this body as my vehicle, a beautiful gift given by nature for me to experience and express. I allow myself to see my reflection in the mirror of my mind as a unique living energy, a point of light with full potential. This is my time, me time, where I, the source of life, the living energy, radiating light all around, am spending quality time with myself, just observing who I am. And then I see my role. I see myself as an instrument who's been gifted a lot of specialities and talents, unique traits and personality. I see my own strengths, and I understand that I am that instrument that can help and bring about goodness through those specialities. I see myself of value. I see myself full of worth, and that makes me realize my responsibility as a steward, as a trustee. I am responsible to leave behind the legacy of goodness, to leave behind a world which has no boundaries, no wars, but love and cooperation. There's mutual respect, there's compassion. I am responsible to create that world which is free from limitedness, a mindset that's filled with greed and selfish motives. I awaken that trustee consciousness that allows me to share without any insecurities, that makes me who I am. That connects me deeply to the source of the universe, to that higher power, allowing me to bring my highest potential on surface, to create an enhanced impact in everything that I do outside. Let's take a pause and just sit. In the awareness of who I am. I come back into this very moment and feel my reality for real.
Thank you for that nice pause, which was quite refreshing, and it was a really nice example. And just really before we finish, to Prince, what? Okay, so do you have a 30 seconds message to all the youth that are watching, especially it's a Youth Day today? What message do you have for the youth?
Okay. Message for the youth. I would say message which I would give is what I've noticed in youth a lot, or what I've noticed in myself a lot, is moments when I feel overwhelmed or feel like I've wasted time or whatever. I always have this feeling that I've wasted so much time. What can I do now? So my message would be, don't have that mindset. As long as you believe in yourself, you can always overcome whatever you want. It's never too late. Start now and face what you want to face. That is the only message I have.
Thank you. And in that note, shall we all give a round of applause to our panelists? And we've come to the end of the session. Next Tuesday, we have another session. The title is Spiritual Resilience in the Face of Global Crisis. When we talk about crisis, especially globally, there's many. We can bring out so many different crises that everyone's going through globally. But what is the spiritual resilience that we can explore and build upon? That's for you to find out next week, Tuesday. The special speaker is Jim Dees. And on the 20th of August, so that's a Wednesday, and 21st of August, which is a Thursday, there is a session in-house from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. And the topic is, you guys are going to love this, overcoming anger. So it's something that we are all working on. It's something that it's a challenge for a lot of people. So it's nice to spread awareness about this beautiful session. Every Sunday morning, we have a meditation online from 10 to 10:45 a.m., just 45 minutes. And it's always a really nice way to start your Sunday, that weekend where you want to make the most out of, especially after a busy Monday to Friday. And we also, in-house, we have Monday to Saturday. You're welcome to come in and sit in the silence room, give yourself a bit of a break from outside world and just kind of tune in. And this is from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day at Wembley Inner Space. So the door is open to all of you. There's many opportunities, many sessions that are there to help you go across these challenges that all of us are facing. And the only way that we can overcome all of these challenges is together, by making time for yourself. A lot of the times people say that they're busy, they have so much going on, but it makes more sense to make time for yourself if you're really busy. It's really an investment for yourself. So it's all in our hands. So with that being said, thank you so much. And product of the week that you can, when you're leaving, you can go to the gift shop, and the book that you can look into or consider buying is It's Time for Change. And also visit the website once again as well, which is justsit.world. Thank you everyone, and safe journey home.